On the border of Oregon and California, Interstate 5 stops being a highway and starts being a physics problem. At 4,310 feet, the Siskiyou Summit is the highest point on the entire 1,300-mile run from Mexico to Canada. For a loaded 80,000-pound rig, though, it isn't just a climb. It's also a 6-mile descent at mostly a 6% grade. In other words, a place where gravity is constantly trying to turn a truck into a runaway missile. In the days of the first highways through this area, this was a graveyard of twisted metal and smoking brakes, plagued by an abnormally high accident rate. But what makes this pass truly impossible isn't just the grade, it's the fact that for centuries, we've been forced to use the exact same narrow topographical notch because there is literally nowhere else to go. To the west, the rugged Siskiyou Mountains rise steeply. To the east, the volcanic Cascades present an even more formidable wall that left travelers trapped in a mile-wide divide that has dictated human movement here for millennia. Welcome to Beyond the Exit. I'm Scott, and today we're taking a danger-ahead look at the Siskiyou Pass, a place where the land didn't offer any choices, a geography so extreme that engineers had to create a new way to stop runaway vehicles, one so effective that it would later be implemented on every highway in the United States. Buckle up, everyone. We're going beyond the exit. The Siskiyou Pass wasn't necessarily a choice, it was a consequence of the geology. It sits within a mile-wide topographical notch that we mentioned before. Because the terrain on each side is so much more formidable, every era of transportation, from Shasta Travel Footpaths to Hudson Bay Company California Brigades, has been forced to converge at this exact point. The name Siskiyou itself is kind of a ghost of that era. During a brutal 1829 crossing, a brigade led by Alexander McLeod was caught in a massive blizzard here. Legend has it they lost a prized Siskiyou, a Cree word for a bobtailed horse, to the mountain elements. It was a permanent reminder for even the most seasoned mountain men that this pass demanded a price for entry. These trappers weren't just naming landmarks, they were scouting the grades. By moving massive pack trains through this notch, they effectively carved the footprint for the California Trail, proving that through here this was the only viable commercial link between the Columbia River and the Sacramento Valley. As the era of pack horse gave way to the era of steam, the primitive trails through this notch had become so vital to the regional commerce that they dictated exactly where the iron horse would have to climb. By the 1880s, the notch was an anchor. Railroad engineers begged to detour over the gentler Willamette Pass, but political pressures from the valley towns forced the tracks through the Siskiyous, leading to the construction of the infamous Tunnel Number 13, the site of a violent 1923 train robbery that was so notorious that we might have to do a full Beyond the Exit or Beyond the Tracks deep dive later. Let me know if you're interested down in the comments. When the automobile arrived, it was the same story. This rugged corridor was formalized as the Pacific Highway, and by 1926 it had become the high point on U.S. Route 99 in the new numbered highway system. In those early years, it was a struggle just to make the climb in the underpowered cars of the day. It was a slow-motion battle of endurance where the goal was just getting to the top. No one yet realized that as vehicles got faster and loads got heavier, the true danger wouldn't be the climb at all, but the miles waiting on the other side. By the post-war era, the old Pacific Highway had reached its breaking point. Just like the old Ridge Route to the south, US 99 through the Siskiyous had become a notorious bottleneck, a narrow winding trap that was never designed for the explosion of heavy freight and high-speed travel of the 1950s. To keep the freight moving, the state couldn't just patch the old road anymore. They needed something else. If you look closely at the summit today, you can still see the ghost of that struggle. The original US 99 alignment actually sits higher and to the east, tracing the natural contours of the ridge. To build a modern highway here, though, engineers realized as far back as 1940 that they couldn't just follow the land anymore. They had to change it. Crews performed a massive realignment back then, carving a 49-foot notch through the summit just to take the edge off the climb. When I-5 arrived in the 1960s, engineers widened that same notch into a massive 4-lane corridor, the one we see today. it's good to understand the stakes that were involved here. If you have an 80,000-pound vehicle on a sustained 6% grade, meaning it drops 6 feet for every 100 foot of travel, you're looking at a brutal lesson in thermodynamics. In the 1960s, drivers were doing this without the aid of modern engine retarders, relying nearly entirely on their service brakes. If you didn't manage your gearing perfectly, those brake drums would skyrocket past 800 degrees. The friction would vanish, and your 40-ton rig would become an unguided missile. By the late 1960s in the Siskiyou Pass, runaway trucks were no longer rare events. They were occurring at a rate of nearly one per month. In these situations, the conventional wisdom of the day was to create uphill escape ramps, allowing gravity to do most of the stopping work. However, the terrain offered no easy solutions for a runaway. To the right, the mountain drops into deep canyons, making a traditional uphill escape ramp impossible. With nowhere to give gravity back, this forced the Oregon State Highway Division to attempt a radical experiment. They would build the first descending grade escape ramp in the country. This experimental approach turned the Siskiyous into a high-stakes laboratory. The project was officially titled Experimental Feature Project OR77-02. The goal of the project was to see if a vehicle could be stopped using rolling resistance alone, without the help of a gravity-defying uphill grade. In other words, engineers needed a way to take the energy away from a runaway truck while it was still going downhill. So a 1,200-foot long by 26-foot wide test ramp was constructed with a built-in 5.6% downhill grade. Next, it was filled with various materials to answer one question: what is the best material to stop a 40-ton runaway? Materials like sand and dirt were not used because they compacted under all the pressure of the vehicle. Instead, engineers focused on different types of rock and quickly discovered that for a truck to stop on a downhill slope, the wheels would have to sink deep into the material to create drag. Various grades of crushed stone were tested first, but it was quickly discovered that the jagged edges would lock together like puzzle pieces under the weight of the truck, allowing the tires to stay on top of the surface instead of digging in. Since the testing was accomplished in the wintertime, another problem to overcome quickly presented itself: the freezing Siskiyou winters and the constant precipitation. If the crushed stone didn't drain quickly, it would turn into a block of ice. And as material testing continued, one option behaved very differently. Rounded river gravel, specifically 3/4 inch to 3/8 inch rock, had unique mechanical properties. Because the stones lacked sharp edges, they couldn't interlock under a load. Instead, the material behaved much more like a fluid than a solid. The gravel stayed loose and fluffy, allowing the truck's wheels to sink in deep, completely dissipating the energy and slowing the vehicle. At the same time, the gaps between the rounded stones allowed water to drain through the bed, eliminating the freezing problem. So by late December 1977, the final validation was run. A loaded 5-axle tractor trailer was sent into the ramp at 55 miles per hour. It stopped safely and predictably at the 660-foot mark, requiring less than half of the entire distance. Based on this, it was calculated that they could stop an 85-mile-an-hour runaway with only 1,000 foot. Needless to say, they were fairly excited with their success. They probably at the time had no idea that the data they had collected here would eventually change how runaway ramps are built in every state in the Union. Engineering the gravel was only half of the battle. Because of its location and elevation, the Siskiyou Pass is a meteorological anomaly where Pacific moisture meets high-altitude cold. This creates a corridor where rain can turn into black ice in minutes, and whiteout fog can swallow a summit that was clear just 5 miles earlier. The danger here isn't constant, but it is abrupt. It acts as a physical and psychological barrier between the two states. Here, the weather seems to punish the complacent. The pass is managed as a high-tech smart corridor. It doesn't eliminate the risk, but the idea is to detect it before drivers encounter it. Automated sensors provide real-time data on pavement temperatures and ice formation, while variable speed signs allow officials to lower the speed limit instantly based on current visibility. There is even a dedicated highway radio frequency that provides continuous weather updates, as well as chain requirement notifications to commercial drivers. But perhaps the most unique part of the defense is called the push truck.
One of the few tools that we have that nobody else has. Obviously, the term push truck allows me to do just that. I don't have to pull it. If I can catch them on the fly while they're spinning, we're going to be going up the hill.
In fact, this program helps approximately 2,500 trucks every year, not because the drivers are unskilled, but because the physics of the grade can overwhelm even properly equipped vehicles. Not to mention, this push method is much safer than having to stop and rig up the front of a vehicle to tow it on up the mountain. Despite all of the technology and engineering, the Siskiyou Pass remains exactly what it has always been, a monument to how geography dictates human movement. Every safeguard here exists to manage failure, and a constant reminder that while we can lower summits and build advanced warning systems, the fundamental challenges of gravity, kinetic energy, and mountain weather are permanent features of the landscape. It still remains a critical and dangerous highway, one that, in spite of all its engineering, continues to inform our understanding of what it means to build roads over impossible terrain. To travel here means passing through the same narrow crack in the wall the Siskiyou demands we take. If you've been enjoying the amazing 4K dashcam footage, then you absolutely need to use the link in our description and go take a look at Interstate Kyle's channel. Kyle is the YouTube collaborator who works with us, providing the feet on the ground for some of our amazing shots as we build these videos. Whether it's scouting out a road you've never driven or reliving a trip you took long ago, I can't imagine a better person for your virtual ride-along. If you have any stories you'd like to share about the Siskiyou and your travels back and forth across us, be sure and drop us a comment. We try to answer each and every one. If you enjoyed our story today, well, we'd love for you to ride along with us. Why don't you consider joining our caravan by subscribing to Beyond the Exit? We know there are a lot of other stops on this highway called YouTube, so we appreciate you going beyond the exit to spend time with us. As always, we appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and God bless.